Hi, this is Metallicin25,
And this is Sergeant Waffles.
and we're from NBDB Gaming, and today we have a video of Beast Mode. And this might be a two-part video, or we might just put up the second part, just to show you the rest of the game if you're really interested. And this one will just be to talk about Beast Mode.
Alright, so first off, I just want to talk about a few strategies that will generally work no matter what map you're using. Like on the first wave, if you're just trying to get points, depending on what you're doing, normally I would start off, if you're playing by yourself, I'd use a Savage Drone, because you can walk right through the worst barriers without taking much damage at all. But if you're playing with other people, it'd be good to have at least one person as a wretch, because they can stun them
Or
and
a
hop over them.
or a wild ticker, because they're really good at taking down the barrier. And another just quick tip that we have, or at least it's really not so much of a tip as it is a preference. We did well on the map Dry Dock. I know this video is on checkout, which I guess isn't too bad considering you made it through. But Dry Dock is definitely a good suggestion, and a hotel, don't do it.
That did not work out. We tried doing it on Insane to get that medal for doing it without failing. We did it on I think it was our 5th try on Dry Dock, and we were doing it for about an hour on Hotel and it didn't work.
We failed numerous times. And yeah, that's what I was about to say about the maps. But anyway, back to the first tier of Locust. Like he said, Savage Drone, and a Wretch, and a Wild Ticker. You can also choose a regular Ticker and a Butcher. The Butcher's not terrible, but I'd recommend the other three.
I just want to say, if you're playing with 5 people, you should probably definitely have most people start as a Wretch, because it will split up the money between everyone. So if it's 5 people, they're going to start with less money. If you're playing by yourself, you start with well over 3,000. And the Savage Drone is over $400, so
450, I believe, is the number.
So it's worth it to start as a Wretch.
Everything else is cheaper on the first tier. So now, we'll move on to the second tier, which is pretty important. I mean, at this point, you get like a couple of Locusts that are useful for the rest of the game, even though there's others that are better, like the Berserker, of course. But you get the Mauler and the Cantus.
And the Bloodmount.
And the Bloodmount. Well, you can elaborate on the Cantus, because I know you like to use that a lot.
So, Cantus, if you're playing solo, is not the thing to use, because it only has a Gorgon pistol and an ink, which is okay, but the main purpose of the Cantus is obviously to heal the other Locust, and since you're not playing with anybody else, you're not going to be able to heal anybody. But if you are playing with anybody else, even just one other person, it's good to have a Cantus at all times, especially if you are using one or more Boomers or Maulers or something like that.
And if you're up to tier 2, I think, or like if that's the highest tier you're up to, use a Mauler, because the Maulers are better than Wild Tickers at taking down the barriers and better at killing the humans, and they can
take out a Silverback very quickly.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Thank you very much.
And another thing about the Silverback, the Cantus is very good at that. Not necessarily destroying the Silverback, but if you throw an ink grenade at it, the person will automatically jump out of it.
What I did want to say about the Mauler is, of course, the Boom Shield, which you can use to block bullets. You can block the bullet. There you go.
There's one thing you gotta note, that if you're holding up the shield, when you swing your flail over the Mauler, you can still be shot because you have to move the shield out of the way, so be cautious with that.
And tier 3, I believe, has a new Locust to the game. If you didn't know about it, it's the giant Centipede, which is just like a big snake thing with like an exoskeleton of sorts. So you can only shoot it right in the tail, on the green glowing part, and when you shorten the tail, eventually it dies. It's actually pretty good for Beast Mode. At first, it might seem really bad and difficult to use, but once you get used to it, it's useful. It can take down barriers pretty easily, and from the front, it's pretty much invincible.
And one thing that's good about it, even when you're running into a barrier, you will not take damage, you just bounce off of it. And it is a 2-hit kill to down anybody, even if it's a hero.
And the Savage Corpser, which is also new, is just a smaller Corpser from the previous game. It's pretty useful for taking down barriers, and you can burrow underground and heal yourself.
And since you can do that, the Cantus cannot heal that, and they cannot heal the Centipede or the Berserker. Other than that, it will heal everything.
Tier 3 also has a boomer. The boomer, you know what a boomer is, but it's really good for taking out enemy turrets and stuff.
But if you were playing on a higher difficulty, like hardcore, specifically,
Always have a Cantus
insane,
with a boomer.
Yeah, what worked well for us when we were playing with 5 people, we had 2 of us being the Cantus, continuously killing everyone, and we had 3 boomers, which would take out barriers and basically 2 boom shots.
We may have had a corpse there.
Could have had a corpse there, but 2 Cantus and 2 or more boomers definitely worked well.
And
There's a Savage Grenadier
Yes,
on
Savage
that tier as well.
Grenadier.
That is my personal favorite next to the Cantus. Mostly because you can throw, it has the frag, and if you didn't know that the Locust will have unlimited ammo, so I don't know how long it is, maybe 20 seconds, it will regenerate its ammo, meaning you'll get 1 more grenade back.
that's for Cantus and Savage Grenadier. They both regenerate grenades.
Although don't think the grenades can take out
I know.
barriers, because if you are up to the first laser fence, which is the blue one, it'll take 2, maybe 3 grenades to take it out. So it's especially useful
You only
for
spawn
taking
with
out.
one.
Yeah, it's especially useful for taking out the actual humans though, because the stranded can get 1 piece.
And for those turrets.
The cog gear can pretty easily get killed. If you're close enough with a headshot, I'm pretty sure you can kill them in 1 hit. Heroes will take 2. And it's very good for turrets also, because as long as you can get close enough to hit it, even though it is a shotgun, you can still be shooting far away because you have unlimited ammo. It's not that big of a deal.
And Tier 4, which is like, I guess they call them the heavy hitters or something like that in the game. I don't know. But basically, you have a Savage Boomer, which Cantus, Armored Cantus, excuse me, and a Berserker. I'll start with the Savage Boomer, which at first also may seem pretty useless, but it has a Digger launcher and that can take out multiple enemies that are crowded together. And like at first, like I said, we really didn't find much use for it, but then it turned out I used it 1 game and it just like destroyed everything. Well, everyone. And yeah, good.
So one thing I want to say about the Berserker.
Don't use it if you're alone.
The Berserker?
No, the Savage Boomer.
The Savage Boomer is not good if you're by yourself. But the Berserker is obviously good for taking out barriers because you can simply walk through them and take no damage from it. You just have to be careful because all the cog heroes will have a specific weapon, and if one of them has a Hammer of Dawn or the Scorcher or incendiary grenades, you will probably die rather quickly because the fire will make you weak. It'll simply kill you faster, and you will get stunned for a short period of time while you are in the fire.
And the Armored Cantus, I guess, we'll move on to next. It, of course, is like a Cantus, has healing powers, but it has armor and therefore a lot of health. Unfortunately, you don't start with any grenades, but you can dual-wield Gorgon pistols,
which are especially good for taking out humans. And one good thing about it is when you press A to do your roll, you will like stop for about a second and then roll forward and like
with like spikes coming out of your back.
And kind of like
it's
looking
like
a little bit like Sonic when he does it, just rolling and killing anyone he runs over, or downing them with Cog Hero.
And be careful when you're healing, because your Armored Cantus's mouth will begin to glow and open up, and that area is extremely vulnerable to the bullets of the Cog.
So one thing I like to do is simply just look away from them, because it's only like when they're in front of you and can see your mouth, obviously. If they're from behind you, they could still hurt you, unlike in Horde, where if you're shooting an Armored Cantus, they will not take damage from explosives or something of that nature.
So basically, what's important to know is, I guess, well, we'll do a recap. What is important to know, you're always going to want multiple Cantuses. Canti?
And it is good to start off if you're playing by yourself. Always Savage Drone. If you're playing with other people, Savage Drone can still work well, but it costs a lot and you start with less money, so a Wretch is better for more people.
And Wild Tickers are very good for taking out barriers in the beginning. Then you want to move on to the Maulers and the Cantuses. Those are always useful for breaking down barriers and healing, respectively. And usually the Cantuses you want to keep throughout the game. And you can always upgrade to an Armored Cantus later on if you really want to. But it does cost quite a bit more money.
Yeah, the Armored Cantus, I believe, costs about $3,300, and the regular Cantus is less than $1,000. And after you unlock tier 3, it's really up to you because they're all different and it's really just what you're best with. I'm personally best with the Savage Grenadier, so
I
I'm
prefer the
that.
boomer.
And one of our friends will always be the Savage Scorpion, and he basically never dies because he can heal himself when he goes underground.
And the fourth tier really doesn't matter. I mean, you always want a Cantus, doesn't have to be armored. And
Just be careful with the Berserker
Yeah.
though. It costs about, I believe it's 5,600,
yeah, a lot
and
of money.
that's quite a bit of money.
When you're
unless
playing with more
playing-
people, you don't have as much money,
Yeah.
like you said. And yeah, that's important to know.
And just be careful about Silver Guy. And we were talking about this much longer than we thought. So on the next video, it'll probably still be Beast Mode, but we will be talking about Horde. And maybe the campaign, depending on how much time we have.
Well, the arcade. We'll try not to include any spoilers unless you want spoilers. But who wants spoilers in
Nobody
this
wants
situation?
spoilers.
Nobody. So thank you for watching. Comment, rate, and subscribe.
See you later.
Please.